Oh, hello, folks. It's Sunday morning. This is Ken David Stewart uh, doing, as I've self-titled my podcast, The Ken David Stewart Show, because I cover a wide variety of topics. And, I cannot always predict what the next one's going to be on. But anyway, I've been doing, it's become a series on sort of my struggles with Christianity and the church. And this is a podcast that I think both Christian believers and atheists and Satanists and non-believers may find a bit interesting. Okay, let's get on with it. I'll have to call this part 1, My Struggles with Christians and the Church, part 1. Start off, I got saved when I was 27 years old. The only reason that I said the prayer of salvation was that I wanted fire insurance. In other words, I did not want to go to hell. Following my salvation experience, my walk with the Lord has been very problematic, to say the least. In my case, I cannot honestly state that it's been a walk. It could more accurately be described as a stumble, with many returns to my pre-Christian way of life. During my life, I have fallen into the depths of despair and spiritual darkness. At times in my life, I felt like I have been submerged in the pits of hell. I have often struggled with any affection towards my fellow man. I admit that on numerous occasions I've had a strong distaste for people, both believers and unbelievers. I've attended many churches, but this was most often due to the influence of my wife. My wife, Martha, is a very strong Christian woman. Over my life, I've especially had a difficult time with the Bible, the church, and other Christians. All these have failed to meet my expectations many times. There have been long periods of time when I have adamantly refused to attend any church services or Christian events. I have selfishly disregarded the pain, disappointment, and frustration of my wife. In a very cavalier manner, I thought I could not tolerate the hypocrisy demonstrated by my fellow believers and the church. As I am blessed to have a great deal of insight about myself, I also finally fully recognize that I can be a hypocrite myself. I thought that by avoiding contact with the church and other believers, I was at the very least saving God's kingdom for one more hypocrite, me. There were times that I was physically and emotionally too impaired to attend church. I guess I had some excuse on these occasions. I have very mixed feelings about the First Baptist Church that I attended. I respected and appreciated the zeal and moral integrity of my first pastor. He used to visit my home quite frequently. This Baptist pastor and I had some very serious discussions about the Christian life and the Bible, but this pastor and I had many sources of disagreement. That time I was employed at a job that I detested and was suffering with the extreme issues of low self-esteem. I told the pastor that I wanted to quit my job for my own health and sanity. The pastor sternly rebuked me for wanting to take away the financial security and economic welfare of my wife and my family. I was very hurt by this rebuke. When I first joined the Baptist Church, I rather quickly was drafted into the role of being a leader in the 20% of any congregation that takes charge and gets things done. And this pretty well applies in any organization, secular or Christian. 20% of the people do most of the work. And I was quickly engaged in the 20%. so was my wife. In this capacity, I attended weekly Bible studies, served as an advisor to the Sunday school faculty, and went out on local missionary drives. I was respected as both a student and a teacher. My pastor respected my intellectual abilities and my sincere desire to play a significant role in the advancement of the church. Unfortunately, my honeymoon period with the Baptist Church did not last very long. My personal lifestyle and attitudes had shown little change after I became a Christian. I continued to smoke tobacco, drink alcohol, and listen to my favorite band, the Rolling Stones. There were other issues as well. My family and I lived in a mobile home, and we seemed to constantly be having problems with our plumbing, our furnace, and appliances, as I had absolutely zero aptitude knowledge for any skill sets beyond the intellectual and the educational. A small team of church goers either volunteered or were appointed to give me some handyman assistance. I was not in the financial position to hire any professionals to repair my home. After a while, one of my church helpers informed me that from now on I should learn how to do any household repairs on my own. This was well before the days of YouTube videos, so it was very difficult to learn the essential skills on my own that nobody had ever taught me. I started to be infected by a strong spirit of resentment towards my fellow Christians at my First Baptist Church. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there for today, folks. Short but sweet. Straight to the point, I hope. And I can see this becoming a series. And, I get up in the morning, I'm a writer, and whatever God leads me to write is usually what I write. Like I barely had to think for 2 seconds what I was going to write next. It just all came to me. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great Sunday morning. Those of you who are non-believers, even if you're an atheist, Satanist, Buddhist, whatever, please stick with me. I'm sure you'll find this very interesting, even if you don't agree with me. And for, fellow Christians who have felt abused by the church, stick with me too. You will find a lot of interesting things. And for pastors and other leaders that wonder why people are leaving your church, maybe you will gain some insight from my podcasts. Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful to Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior of my life, and for the way He has moved in my life, especially in my senior years. And with that, I'm just going to say, hey, we'll see you again. It'll be soon, and keep listening. I appreciate your likes, comments, hates, whatever, negative comments you want to send. I don't care. I got broad shoulders. And, just have a great weekend. Okay. Thank you very much. And now we come to the part of the show in which I try and locate my Word document. And now I just recall I don't have a Word document for this one. Maybe I'll print one up and post it on my WordPress blog. I'd also like to mention that one of the reasons, besides lack of knowledge, that I can't do many household repairs, things like that, to this day, is that I suffer from a condition called dyspraxia, which is a learning disorder in which it affects things like spatial reasoning, eye-hand coordination, and a number of things that make it extremely difficult for one who suffers from this learning disorder, to do repairs or anything like that. And unfortunately, I'm one of them. And at least I know now not to blame myself. I mean, I was kind of born this way. And hopefully, with the Lord's help, things will get better in that direction. But anyway, I digress. I go down rabbit holes. So I'm going to let you do whatever you're going to do right now, and just have a great day.